Question number 1. Why do you feel most people choose religion over science? Well, most people have religion forced on them when they're too young to understand the difference between reality and fantasy, so most people tend to keep that with them as if it were a shield for their youth and for the idea that their parents, friends, or pastor could never lie to them. But in reality, most people choose science every day more than they ever even think of religion. If you drive a car, watch a weather report, go to the doctor, use a cell phone, all these things are people choosing scientific answers over religious ones. Why does a cell phone work? Because humans use science to find out how things work in a way that help them figure out how to create something like a cell phone in the first place. Try praying for your friend to do something for you, and then calling that friend to do something else. I bet you the cell phone conversation produces better results than the prayer. 2. Do you feel replacing religious rituals with secular equivalencies would be instrumental in helping people find comfort outside of religion? Secular rituals? Secular people have no real reason to have rituals because we don't need to please any entity of any secularness. But I've seen this video, and some people have responded to this to interpret into holidays. If you mean the already established holidays, then that might help. Holidays are fun, and I don't think we'd get along as a species if we didn't make excuses to gather our families and friends together a few times a year and celebrate our lives and relationships with each other. As it is, most of the rituals of the common holidays have nothing to do with the Christian religion and were derived from previous pagan rituals anyway. The Christians realized when they were taking over that they're going to have to make some adjustments in their ironclad fascism against all things not Christian to allow the common people to accept the new form of mind control without so much fuss. So now, if we were to remove that kind of mind control from the holidays, since we know we don't need to pray or sacrifice anything to make sure the seasons pass, etc., allowing a free secular version of these holidays that can be interpreted in any way by anyone without the need to hate those who don't celebrate it the same way would be a great step forward for humanity. Number 3. Would you be more tolerant or respectful towards religion if it had never caused any harm or interfered with science? Well, of course. That's really the only reason any of us atheists are out here fighting. We don't just do this so we can be contrary. We don't just do it because we can. We are not intentionally trying to rain on anyone's parade, but we're just interested in the truth. And like a parent who tells a child that a star is a giant ball of gas, rather than a hole poked in a giant black fabric in the sky, we like to let people know what the facts are. If Christianity didn't encourage or order people to hate homosexuals, didn't allow for people like the Pope to get away with indirect genocide by telling AIDS-stricken countries that condoms increase the chances of getting AIDS, and these poor religious souls listen because they believe he's the word of God, didn't allow, or let me repeat that, the Pope, a puppet given religious authority, is telling nations that are too poor for proper education that condoms, with their 99, 98, whatever % protection rate against diseases such as AIDS, actually increase the chances to get AIDS? I'm no mathematician, but I think 99% protection is not a decrease from 0% protection. The Pope is a genocidal racist. How do you get a population of sick people to kill themselves? Tell them, with religious authority, that the one true, well, not one, but a true tool of their salvation is something that should be avoided at all costs. Think of this every time you think of the Pope and the leaders of the Catholic Church, as if covering up child molesters and providing safe haven to nasty Nazi commanders it wasn't bad enough. But anyway, if this didn't allow kids in school to hate someone just because they don't believe in an unproven God, if these things weren't happening, we atheists would have no problem with Christianity. We generally tend to have no problem with Wicca or Buddhism or Hinduism simply because they are not trying to convince the world that their way is the only right way when nobody can possibly know the right way yet. Well, I don't know, maybe Hinduism does. Again, I don't know much about Hinduism. It's just more fun, I think. But yeah, we don't have any problem with those religions, but we still find them as unconvincing as the biblical stories, but we have no reason to fight their existence. But when kids are being taught that evolution is untrue in schools, that it's an optional hypothesis that's unproven, is stuff like that, blatant lies like that, that's when we must fight. Fundamentalist Christians have begun a battle against truth and facts based on a highly disturbing ancient myth book, and we would be irresponsible as human beings to allow this to continue. 4. How do you react to people you admire that have religious beliefs? I'm not sure I admire anyone. I would choose the word respect. People I respect with religious beliefs, well, I can respect other aspects of the person, because religious belief is not the entire sum of any one person, obviously. I can play my video games with a Christian any day, and I would never cause a fuss, because video games have nothing to do with what we believe. But I do have to say I am slightly disappointed when I find out someone I respect is religious. It's like, if you're this intelligent, why not just take that one more intelligent step and reject the ancient Arabic spooky language? But I don't treat them any differently until they do something wrongful to me, or to the people I care about, or other people in general. I would find it extremely difficult to respect a rapist, no matter what they believed. I may find it silly of them to believe in something that is as imaginary as Santa Claus, and I may give them my perspective about it, but I know it's their choice, and I have no right trying to force them into thinking my way. I can only present the facts and allow them to interpret them. That's the difference between atheists and Christianity. We accept everyone's different, unless they cause us harm. We don't need to change anyone. Christianity teaches people to accept that everyone's different, but intrusively encourages the desire to change that, to change those different people with the threat of eternal suffering. This inevitably leads to unnecessary confrontation and conflict, inspiring a division in people rather than cohesion. There's no excuse in this day and age to justify that kind of a behavior anymore. We are not against religious beliefs in general, just the ones that cause harm and encourage discrimination. If someone's religious but doesn't follow those parts of the religion beyond our response, beyond asking the question, why bother? If you're going to choose what parts to believe, why not get rid of the mantle of Christianity and just simply be spiritual? Beyond that question, we would have no reason to assault them or attack them or try to show them what the facts are. We would have no reason to need them to change their minds, because they're free to choose what they want. Just don't harm or discriminate or get in the way of facts. 5. Would you have more appreciation for the subject of religion if it were not taken literally or no longer practiced? I do appreciate the other world religions, and I do have to say it does help when a religion is not being practiced in its ability to be appreciated. But it's interesting to see how humans interject their own vices and agendas into the personalities of the gods they've created, to understand the evolution of the mindset of humanity through history. If someone wants to practice a personal ritual for religion, or God, or gods, I have no problem with that. Spirituality can be another spice of life, a hobby, something you do that you like doing. But once people start trying to convince others that their hobby is the only correct hobby to ever have, we should take it as one who would take someone saying crochet is the superior hobby, and anyone caught playing video games will be strangled and stabbed with crochet needles when they die. There's no reason to respect that kind of thinking in this modern age, but we allow it because everyone is free to think and say what they like. Everyone just needs to understand that nobody knows all the mysteries of the universe, and anyone who says that they do know and are trying to convince you of something by saying they do know, without being able to prove themselves to you, is either lying or just ignorant. Because nobody knows. But I find nothing to appreciate the biblical religion, or God. That God is responsible for some of the ugliest, nastiest things imaginable, and it's all showcased in that Bible as if it were some bloodthirsty, bitter barbarian's diary that he wants published in mass quantities. And after those disturbing parts of the Bible are the droves and droves of stunningly moronic contradictions, inconsistencies, outright untruths, the suppression of the human spirit, and encouragements of bigotry and genocide which nobody in their right mind can possibly find enlightening or comforting, unless they happen to be a member of the KKK. Give appreciation where it's due. Colorful stories are always great and give us an insight into the minds of those who created them. But they're just stories, and should never be taken literally, especially when most of those stories have zero historical evidence, beyond some real place and people names. The most valid defining term I can give to the Bible is historical fiction.